You're listening to Talk Radio Europe.
The Daily.
Now, if you want to learn Spanish, stay listening, because we're speaking to Malagalingo next. Malagalingo is a school, and we're going to speak to a student there, who's Claire Tompkins. Good afternoon, Claire. How are you?
Good afternoon, Dave. I'm very well, thank you.
Is it Torrox where you are this afternoon?
It is. Torrox is as lovely as ever. Yeah, the sun is shining on us.
Are you feeling like a bit more normal now we're in phase 2?
Yeah, I'm actually just having my first café con leche since
brilliant.
March.
Fantastic.
So it's such a bonus.
Fantastic. So tell us, Emmy, you wanted to learn Spanish. Why did you go into this particular school? Why did this catch your attention?
I think I was drawn initially by the offer of a free trial lesson. I was doing other things.
Yeah.
I was hitting the books. I was trying to speak to people in shops. I had an intercambio, a language exchange, but I needed something more, and I saw the advert, and I thought, well, if I can go along for a free trial, if it's not for me, it's cost me nothing other than an hour of my life.
And so you did decide to go for it, and what kind of lessons have you attended there at the school?
Well, initially I started coming to the drop-in 1-hour conversation sessions, which were great, such fun, so relaxed. And I suppose inspired by them, I then joined a 4-week intensive course last July, a small group of 5 of us every Monday to Friday, every morning. And since then I've been coming twice weekly to 2-hour classes, which are currently via Zoom.
Yeah, and you do find new friends doing this, don't you, as well, I find.
Definitely. I've made so many friends here, and a couple of them very good friends now who I meet socially.
Fantastic. So, obviously, now things are different, aren't they? But let's just go back to how it was before. Because sometimes learning a new language is pretty daunting, isn't it?
Oh, very, very. Particularly when you don't have already a second language. So this was all very new to me, and nothing like, I can't tell you how many years ago at school. But it's so different. It's a fun, relaxed, enjoyable way of getting to grips with the basics. And then I think if you can get to grips with the basics and you can practice a little and it encourages you, and then maybe you want to know more.
Yeah. And of course, I went to one, and I'm not kind of trying to be horrible here, but I went to one, and it was a Spanish person doing it, and actually, you know what, I did learn some Spanish, so I'm not gonna regret it. But there were a few times when I got into trouble because I just didn't know the word, and they weren't able to speak very good English, so it just didn't work out. But apparently, the teachers there, they've got some good English, haven't they? Very
good, yeah. Very, very good English, which, as you say, is so important if you don't understand the point that's been trying to be made.
Yeah.
You need it explained in your own language, certainly.
And how have you adapted to Zoom then? Because you're now online doing it. Was that straight away? Did they initially?
Yeah.
Because we all were thrown into this lockdown quite quickly, weren't we?
That's right. It's kind of happened over the course of a weekend, didn't it?
Yeah.
We were straight into Zoom, which works so well. Because not only has it kept us connected, and there are a couple of our current group who aren't in Spain; they're currently in their home countries.
Yeah.
So not only has that kept us connected, it's kept us focused on what we're doing, and it's also kept us at the same level because there's been no absentees, so there'll be no going back over things and catching up, so we can continue progressing at the same rate.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
It is.
And do you find that the more you do this, the more you find yourself using the Spanish when you're out and about, especially now we're back out again?
Definitely, absolutely. And I think it adds so much, certainly for me. I know it's not for everybody, but for me, it really helps you to become part of the country.
Yeah.
And it's so fascinating that how the Spanish culture and the characteristics of the Spanish are reflected in their language. So you're not only learning a new language, which obviously helps with communication with your Spanish neighbours and people in shops and cafes, but you're learning about Spain as well.
Have you found as well, I've been reading a lot of the newspapers, and I know El País in English is fantastic because it's obviously in our language, but you can go back to the original El País or go to La Razón or one of the other Spanish newspapers and read it in the Spanish, and you're getting the news at the same time as everybody else about the pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. There are so many useful resources, and I've even found myself now, each day I watch the Spanish TV news, which, of course, again, it keeps you up to speed with what's happening, and it's certainly improved my pandemic vocabulary.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. There's a program I watch called Aquí la Tierra. It's on La Uno. And it's almost like Country File, if you know that from the BBC. But it's Spanish, and it's great because you get to know the country. And, of course, it's all Spanish, so you've got to listen, maybe put the Spanish subtitles on. Sometimes I'll do that just to help me get through. So what sets Malagalingo off from other Spanish learning centres, schools?
I would, from a personal perspective, obviously, there's so much encouragement. Even when you get it wrong, the teachers make you feel like you almost got it right. And the conversations are focused around our interests, which obviously encourages our participation. And we want to talk about ourselves. We talk about our lives, whether that's in the past, the present, the future, which is great because we know so much about ourselves, but it also means that we're learning Spanish grammar without really being that conscious of it.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
And again, as we just touched on, we also talk about current issues, which means that we can better converse with our Spanish friends and neighbours around us.
It's the verbs that always still do worry me, actually. The endings and so on. But sometimes if you've got a way of learning it and you don't even realise you're learning it, I think that's fantastic. That's seemingly what you're saying there. You're kind of picking up stuff and not realising it. Yeah,
certainly, because it becomes natural, as it does, when you learn as a child. If you keep repeating something, in a shop on a daily basis, then the next thing, it comes out naturally.
And are they small groups or big groups? How's that work?
Small groups, which is really good. The conversation sessions are probably 6 or 8 people, maybe more sometimes, but that just adds to the fun of it. And of course, at the beginning, you don't want the spotlight to be on you for too long, and you get to listen to others. But the lessons that I now come to, our little group, is just 5 of us.
Yeah.
We've become very close, which has been great.
We just had a message from Annie, who's listening in Murcia, and she says, so accurate. Usually chat to Spanish locals here, but my Spanish has taken a beating as I didn't chat anymore and start from scratch. So Annie, why don't you get online with these guys? You can do it from Murcia. So fantastic. And that's the thing, isn't it? And I found out, I don't know about you, Claire, but if I stop doing it, it's difficult to pick it up sometimes again.
Definitely. I think it's I don't know, is it like any other muscle that you needs to be exercised on a daily basis? And even if it's only for 5 or 10 minutes, it's better than nothing.
I prefer to learn Spanish and exercise, actually, anyway. So you got small groups, and the prices are good as well, aren't they?
Fabulous, yeah. Really, whether it's the €4 for an hour's conversation or whether it's paying monthly, which equates to, virtually nothing. And when you think not only are you learning a language, but you're making friends, and, for those of us on our own, there's the loneliness aspect as well.
I think that you don't realise you're learning, do you, when it's conversational? That's the style that the school do. They, you're having conversations. You don't realise that you're learning. I've done a few intercambios similar to that, and it's great because you're talking about the weather, sport, whatever you may be into, and then you don't realise that you're picking up words.
Yeah, certainly, and I think possibly one of the best things is when you make mistakes and you all have a giggle about it and you all say, I did the same thing, but you never make that same mistake again.
Exactly, yeah. Especially if it's an embarrassing one.
Exactly.
What about this internet chat then, Claire, between local residents and foreigners? That this has been brought about because we've not got so many tourists over and many of those part-time residents that come part of the year. So I suppose the Spanish are looking for English people to learn with as well.
That's right, most definitely, yeah. And I was so impressed with the school when pretty much immediately that was set up, because, again, it's keeping people in touch. It's open to everybody. It's fun. It's promoting good relations as well as friendships, because we're a diversity of students from different nations, and we're really getting to find out about each other and about, you know, how we all live and what we're all like. So it's got so many benefits, and of course that's free, and it's every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, which is fabulous.
How long have you been in Spain then, Claire, altogether?
I've been here just over 2 years, and I've been with Malagalingo for a year.
Yeah. Would you ever move back to the UK?
That's a very good question. I actually came over here purely to learn Spanish, and I thought I'd have it cracked within a couple of years, but it looks like I'm going to be here for a while longer, I think, even with the amazing assistance of Malagalingo.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. I think you've got to set yourself realistic goals as well, haven't you? Because for me, learning a new language, this is where people like schools like Malagalingo come in, because it's structured, and quite often I can just let it go and it will happen another week, you know. So it's just best to do something about it. Now,
it's definitely easy to put it in the too hard basket.
Yes, absolutely. So it sounds like you thoroughly recommend it then.
Absolutely. I really do. I mean, obviously there are other resources out there that you can use to supplement it. You know, various things on podcasts and books and whatever does it. And I think it's good to try and get it to seep in different ways. But certainly Malagalingo, I would recommend it to anybody who would like to either learn or improve their Spanish. Now,
of course, it's based in Torrox, isn't it, in Malaga? What would you say to people who are maybe a bit nervous, not been to school for a long time, and thinking, you know, did you have a bit of apprehension?
I did, because I came down on my own, and I walked in, and there was a lady at the coffee machine, an American lady, and I said, "Oh, can you help me? You know, how does this work?" And it just kind of broke the ice, and it was so relaxed and so much fun. I was very welcomed, but I just kept in the back of my mind, Claire, if you hate it and you make a complete fool of yourself, you never have to see any of these people again.
Absolutely. Well, obviously you didn't, so that's great.
Thankfully not.
So how can folks get in touch then if they want to get involved and maybe learn a bit of Spanish?
Malagalingo has a Facebook page and a website.
Yeah.
There's lots of easy ways to contact.
So if you put in Malagalingo, you'll find it. Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly, and you'll get a very quick response. They're very efficient.
Well, muchas gracias, and we'll and hopefully we'll speak to you. Well, next time we'll do it in Spanish then, Claire. Yeah.
Oh, no, there's a challenge. I look forward to it. You might have to give me a while.
No, you'll have to give me a while. Thank you. There, that's Claire
Bye.
Tompkins talking about Malagalingo. Thank you, Claire. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
TRE.
Spending more time at home and working online? Then why not improve your Spanish via Skype or Zoom? Malagalingo is a modern language school offering Spanish lessons with a conversational approach, in a group or one-to-one. Your first relaxed, fun class is free. Call Malagalingo on 650 479 493 or email malagalingo@gmail.com.